What's going on, guys? It's Themightydart13 back again, and this is my video for the Mexican Grand Prix. Obviously it is Tuesday at the time of filming this. Watched the highlights, and yeah, overall decent race. My top 3 prediction went, I actually got the top 3 right. Not in the order I said, but I got the 3 drivers for qualifying. I had Verstappen, Vettel and Hamilton. But as for the race itself, you had a didn't have much news before the race had started. But your top 3 was Verstappen, Bottas and Raikkonen, with Sebastian Vettel finishing fourth, sorry. And for those of you knowing, or who watched my last video, that Hamilton only had to finish Hamilton only had to finish 5th to wrap up the title, and in that way Vettel had to win. So with Vettel finishing 4th, Hamilton had wrapped the title up, and Hamilton ended up finishing in 9th place. Obviously, on the first lap you had a collision on the first corner of the first 3 corners of the first lap. You had Vettel catch the side of Verstappen, and then Vettel ended up going into the back of Hamilton, which gave Lewis a puncture and damaged Vettel's front wing, although he already had damage after smacking into Verstappen. So obviously both of them at the back. But apart from that, there really wasn't a lot. There were some good overtakes. Obviously Hamilton battling with Alonso and whatever, and some of these stuff, some of the races was good, but not the most exciting race. Obviously I think we missed out on a battle between Verstappen, Vettel and Hamilton. I still think Max would have won, but obviously it continues this trend that Daniel Kvyat was dropped only to be put back, for Verstappen to win the race, and that's the 3rd time that's happened in Verstappen's career. Obviously it happened in Spain last season. Last season. Obviously Kvyat was dropped. Then you had a couple of races back, Kvyat was dropped again in favour of Pierre Gasly, and then obviously he's been dropped for Brendan Hartley, who was dropped, and obviously Verstappen's gone on to win a race again. But talking of, Red Bull and Renault in general, it was a very bad day, seeing as you had Sainz and Hulkenberg, so both works Renault cars out. Ricciardo retired with an MGU-H failure, which is motor generator unit heat. There's 2 things, I'll get more into that later on in the video. And you also had Hulkenberg out of electrical issues, Hartley who came in with his engine on fire, Sainz, I couldn't find out what happened, and Ericsson, he's not got a Renault thing, but his engine also was on fire as he pitted. But with Lewis finishing 6th, with Lewis finishing 9th, he wraps up the title, and within that he becomes one of only 5 drivers who have won 4 titles or more. So obviously you've got Hamilton, Vettel and Prost, then you have Fangio on 5, I believe, and then you have Michael Schumacher obviously sitting on 7. Which, Hamilton is one of the greats, as is Vettel, and I think next season, with potentially Red Bull being involved in the title fight as well, we're going to have a good battle. But I think today, it was obviously being filmed on Tuesday, there's been some new rules for the 2021 season proposed in terms of the engine. So the engine would still be a 1.6 litre V6, but the engine would run 3,000 revs per minute faster to improve the sound. MGU-H would be removed, and to combat that, the MGU-K, which is the motor generator unit kinetic, which picks up the energy lost under braking, would be tasked with picking up some of that power deficit, while at the same time adding an option for a driver to save power over a few laps to strategically use it. The turbo, obviously these engines are turbocharged. The turbo, there would be a single turbo in the engine that would have very tight constraints on dimensions and weights. Obviously it's got to be below a certain diameter and below a certain weight. The electronic controls and the battery stuff would stay standard, and research into tighter fuel regs as well, which overall should drop the costs of Formula 1 a little bit, which would make it possible for teams, as we've seen in the past, like privateer teams such as Braun GP, Hesketh Racing going back to the 1970s, which can only be a good thing, because if you look at it, it's very rare. You don't have many teams on the grid now, and even then those teams are all, in quotation marks, well-known teams, barring Haas. Haas are the only relatively new side. Obviously Toro Rosso, Red Bull have been there for years, Sauber have been there for years, McLaren. Haas are the only new side, and even then they are affiliated with Ferrari. It'd be nice to see a privateer team come in. So overall I think this is a fantastic step for Formula 1. Obviously it's not confirmed yet, but it's a fantastic thing that Liberty Media are now trying to improve that. As for Hamilton winning the title, I think it's fantastic. Obviously, he's one of the all-time greats. I still think he could potentially do it next year. If the Mercedes... Oh, excuse me, sorry. If the Mercedes is up to standard, which I hope it will be, but I can see Verstappen and Ricciardo really coming into it next year. Next race is Brazil, which is a favourite of mine. I do like Brazil. So my prediction will be Vettel. Top three for qualifying will be Vettel, Hamilton, Raikkonen. And my top three for the race will be Raikkonen, Bottas and Hamilton, Vettel to DNF. And then Verstappen to finish in fourth, with Ocon finishing fifth. So yeah, obviously decent race. I'd rate it maybe a 5 or a 6. It wasn't the most exciting race from what I saw in the highlights. But yeah, guys, obviously I'm going to leave this video here. I've got to sit down and figure out my schedule, but there will be a video coming out in the next few weeks. Obviously, football vlogs this weekend. We're at home to Swindon in the first round of the FA Cup, which will be exciting. I'm hoping Dad's going to be there, Granddad's going to be there, Ben, Steph, so pretty big crew. It'll be a rocking atmosphere. It will more than likely be a longer video, because there will no doubt be a lot of action. But yeah, you know, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, guys, as for this F1 video, that's it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. The support's been fantastic recently. And yeah, keep the support up. Let's, you know, obviously my goal is to hit 100 subs by Christmas. I know we've got 2 months, and I know it's highly unlikely, but you never know. So yeah, keep the support up, and I will see you in the next one.